Hello and welcome back to Badminton Weekly with me, Jasmine Lim. Now, this week's episode is going to be a special one as we're dedicating the next 15 minutes to just the doubles disciplines. Now, in saying so, I think it's only right that we have two experts joining us today. So with us is BWF commentator Steen Pedersen, who will share his analysis on Indonesia's dominance in the men's doubles later in the show. But first, we have Australia's former player and coach, Jeff Doe, who will take us through the latest in the women's and mixed doubles. Welcome back on the show, Jeff.
Thanks, Jasmine.
So Jeff, let's start with the mixed doubles and the split between Olympic champions Huang Dongping and Wang Yulü after the Yonex Sunrise India Open. Now, this split was something we had seen back in 2022 when Wang was injured, but this time round, it looks to be a permanent one, doesn't it, Jeff? Especially seeing that Huang has registered for the All England Open with her new partner, Feng Yanzhe.
Look, I think it's difficult to say because of Wang Yulu's injuries. It's difficult to qualify for the Olympic Games when you don't know if someone's going to be healthy or not. From Huang Dongping's perspective, she'll be going there to defend her gold medal title. So obviously, it'll be very important for her to have the best preparation possible towards that. But in terms of the new partnership between Feng and Huang Dongping, I think they've done really well so far. Look, 2 tournaments, 2 wins in Indonesia and Thailand. Look, the top pairs, in my opinion, weren't playing. So Sue, Hwang Ya-kyung, Watanabe Higashino, and the Thai pair Sapsiri and Dechapol. They didn't play, but I think that's a really good start to their partnership. And like you said, it will be dependent upon how they perform in the All England and in the European Series to see whether they will continue. But I think that Team China should be quite happy with their performances so far.
Now, Huang being the more experienced of the two, have you seen a change in her play style that has maybe helped the pair gel together, especially in such a short period?
I think Huang's playing style is very similar to when she played with Wang Yulu. I think that now, because she's the senior of the pair, she needs to be the one creating the chances for Feng's attack, because his attack is very, very strong. So I still think that she does a similar thing. She's very good. She's comfortable in the rear court. She can come forward to the mid court and then really move forward quickly to take dominance over that net, get the shuttle down so that they have to lift to Feng. And then Feng, being 195 centimeters, 1 centimeter taller than Victor Axelsen, and he's 10 centimeters taller than Wang Yilu. So his angle and his attack is very deadly. It's very difficult to return his smashes. But overall, he's a younger player. He's got a lot of energy. I do think there's some improvement for him to go, though. I don't think he's as good as Wang Yilu in the mid-court and his shot quality. So I don't think he's as fast into the mid-court, and I don't think he can create as many opportunities from the mid-court as Wang Yilu can. And I've saw that quite a few times when the opponents can hit very hard and fast at Feng's body, sometimes he struggles a little bit there, and that's something that he'll need to work on. But from an overall perspective, young player, full of energy, and I think that might be something that might be something that Huang Dongping needs at this moment, just because he's bringing a level of youthfulness and excitement and energy to that partnership.
And as you said, Feng doesn't have the level of experience that Huang has yet, but it does seem like a move that Team China needed to make. What do you then think of Huang and Feng's prospects in the race to Paris?
I think definitely. Look, if this partnership is permanent, and basically you have your top pair of Sue and Hwang Ya-kyung, provided that they keep doing really well, and I think that they will probably come in as the second Chinese pair. And with the Olympic qualification, of course, you need to qualify 2 from one country in the doubles event. You need 2 in the top 8, and I do think that this is very possible for Huang Dongping and Feng as well.
Turning our attention now to the women's doubles, where Korea's Lee So-hee has parted ways with Shin Seong-chan to pair up with Baek Hana. We know that Korea has a reputation of rotating their pairs every couple of years, and given that Lee and Shin have not won a title since French Open in 2021, do you think that this is a decision that was sometime in the making?
Look, I think so. When partners don't have good results for a long period of time, and the partnership can get a little bit stale, and sometimes changing the partners can really have an effect. And I think that Lee and Baek have done really well. They've come runners-up in Thailand, and then they've come round of 16 in Indonesia, and they've lost to pairs that are very strong. So I do think that it sounds like it's a good idea at the moment, just based on the results. But I do feel that I do like the game that Bake brings more to that partnership. She's faster, I think, than Shin. She's more explosive around the court, and she can kind of close the net really quickly. I think she's very good at doing that. And because of that, she can create more opportunities for Lee to attack. I also think that she has a really strong attack, just like Shin Sung Chan. So I think that the game style now, because we've still got the power, we've still got all the skills, but now we've got the extra bit of explosiveness and speed, that now that the game is a lot more dynamic and not so much one-paced. And that's what I really like about this new combination.
As a player yourself, Jeff, how hard is it to settle into a new partnership, to gel together again? And do Lee and Big have the potential to be a strong pair from what we've seen so far?
Yeah, I think initially it can be either really difficult or really easy. So the reason I say it's not really easy, but it's easier because there's less pressure on you. It's a first few tournaments you're playing together. You can play free. You don't have those expectations, and you're often the underdog because you're playing against the world top pairs that have been playing together for a long time. And as a new combination, you can kind of relax and just play into each other's styles. In saying that, it can be difficult just because the communication is different. So it's something that would need to be, which would need to develop over time in terms of how everyone can play well together. But when you're not playing well, how do you get out of that? How do you motivate your partner? Of course, the game tactics, the strengths and weaknesses are important, but it's also about the mental side, that kind of connection that you have on court. That's going to be really important as well. But I'm really interested to see how they go in these future tournaments. Now that they've played well together and they can show that they can win these big tournaments or do very well, maybe the pressure's a little bit higher for the next one. So we'll see how they go.
And thank you so much, Jeff, for taking the time and joining us today. We look forward to having you again on the show soon.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Now, to take us through the men's doubles category and to share his analysis on how Indonesia's Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto won their first ever Super 1000 title in Malaysia, here is BWF commentator Steen Pedersen with his expert's pick.
Hi, I'm Steen Pedersen, BWF commentator on the World Tour badminton tournaments. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the men's doubles category to check if Indonesia has still got a stranglehold on the men's doubles category, as was the case before the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2019, Marcus Gideon and Kevin Sukamuljo, they dominated the men's doubles category, very much followed by Mohamed Hassan and Hendra Setchilan, the two veterans. Gideon and Sukamuljo won 8 out of 9 finals in World Tour events that year. So let's take a look if Indonesia is as dominant here in 2023, where we have a full finished 2022 season to look back at. So here in 2023, there's a new Indonesian pair on top of the world ranking in men's doubles. That's Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto. Indonesia won 6 World Tour titles in 2022. And as mentioned in the intro, Gideon and Sukamuljo alone won 8 tournaments back in 2019. So it's still a stranglehold on the men's doubles, but I think, in my opinion, it's not as dominant as it was back in 2019. So in terms of Alfian and Ardianto, they've pretty much been the sort of sleeper pair since their silver medal at the 2018 Asian Games on home soil. They were the youngsters back then, where the established pairs were Hassan and Setchilan, Gideon and Sukamuljo. Their campaign or their development was perhaps halted a little bit by the pandemic, but they definitely came back strong here in the past 11 months. It actually took a win at All England for their compatriots, Fikri and Maulana, to sort of get them started, to spark their campaign and make them believe that they could be a force in World Tour tournaments. Now in the Swiss Open, the week following the All England, Alfian and Ardianto, they kicked into a totally different gear. They were much more motivated, had belief that they could also win tournaments on the World Tour, and they went on to win the Swiss Open, a Super 300 tournament. And that from that time on, they never really looked back in 2022, reaching 8 finals and winning 4 of them. I think their biggest accomplishment was earlier on in this year when they won the Malaysia Super 1000, and it was visible how much it meant to them when they secured the match point in Kuala Lumpur. So if we take a look at how they've developed their game, Alfian and Arianto, then they've become much more consistent. Alfian, perhaps right now the best front court player in the world, very solid and high shot quality on the front court, and he's in a process, in my opinion, where he's working harder from the backcourt. Whenever he's put on the backcourt, he is willing to work and find ways to move himself to the front court and sort of be in his preferred position. His partner, Rian Arianto, is a fantastic backcourt player. He is so mobile, so quick on his feet, and so ready to work relentlessly from the backcourt with different kinds of attacks to set up Alfian at the net. Add to that the two Indonesians have a defense that, in my opinion, is more solid than the one we saw Gideon and Sukamuljo display in 2019, and that gives them a chance to survive even though they're not in control of the rallies. And when they take control, well, then they become lethal with their preferred formation. Now, the good news for the competitors from other nations is that even though Alfian and Arianto have been the world #1 on the world ranking, in my opinion, there's still some hope for a lot of the other combinations, because Alfian and Arianto, well, as I mentioned, they're not as dominant as we saw Gideon and Sukamuljo were in 2019, and there's still some weaknesses in their game which might be exploited. First of all, the combination is one backcourt player, Arianto, and one front court player, Alfian. And if you switch their positions around, well, there's still some openings. Rian Arianto is not a natural front court player, and he can definitely be put under pressure. And Alfian, when put on the back line, well, he tends to become more error prone. So this is a couple of the situations where the opponents will definitely try to switch them around and have some opportunities of blocking it in front of them and taking the initiative in the rallies. But even if these pairs should get past Alfian and Arianto, there's a lot of other Indonesian pairs waiting for them in the bigger tournaments. The Indonesian men's doubles team is clearly the team with the most depth, and we saw that just recently when Leo Rolly-Canando and Daniel Martin, the former World Junior champions, won back-to-back tournaments in Indonesia on home soil, and then the week after in Thailand. So with the depth of the Indonesian men's doubles department in the back of the mind, it's obvious that Indonesia will always be competitive going into the major tournaments like Thomas Cup, like the World Championships, and especially the Olympic Games coming up in 2024.
And that's all we have for today's show. Thank you once again to Jeff and Steen for joining us today. If you have any questions for them or any thoughts you'd like to share with any of our experts, don't forget to post them on the BWF Facebook and YouTube page. Thank you for joining us this week, and I'll see you soon.